body that reflects the wishes and aspirations of the Kenyan people.
The protest that is planned by the CORD coalition at the anniversary towers, of course, which houses the IEBC commissioners, is this called for? Are they justified? And is it that we do not have other channels to ensure that the agenda is pushed forward?
Well, when Kenya went into that surreptitious election of 2007-2008 that precipitated war, lots of good stuff came up with it. One notable thing is the new constitutional dispensation. A whole chapter 4 of the Constitution was dedicated to human rights and the Bill of Rights, such that Kenya was coming from a history where there was suffocation of certain fundamental rights, and therefore there was indeed a serious need for that to be addressed. You look at chapter 37 of the Constitution, it gives a latitude for any Kenyan to picket and to demonstrate.
Yes.
That has already been catered for in law. You remember, during the Moi era, it was very difficult for any dissenting voice to carry out an assembly. That is why the police was always mobilized to beat up people. The water cannons were dispatched on people, and lots of things therefore did happen that did not really reflect the tenets of fundamental rights. So what CORD is actually saying, and that is why in the new constitution what you basically need to do is to ask the police to provide security even as you demonstrate, as you picket. So you don't really have to ask further questions whether indeed the police can give you a right to do so. The right is already provided for in law.
So do we have better channels other than this?
Well, better channel, and that is espoused in law, that for a new body to be constituted, a petition needs to go to Parliament. After debate, a recommendation of Parliament can ask the President to form a tribunal. It is upon, therefore, the recommendation of a tribunal that would allow IEBC to go home. But you know very well that Jubilee has come up so strongly to defend the current IEBC as is presently constituted, with all the pertinent questions raised on their heads, including the chicken gate scandal, which that two gentlemen who actually gave out the bribes are languishing in jail in the UK, when the recipients of those bribes still sit comfortably in aircon offices at the anniversary towers. So these are fundamental questions that we are raising. Leave alone the fact that there is not a judicial process that is ongoing. Chapter 6 of the Constitution that talks about leadership and integrity has given specific caveats on how far a state officer can go when there are serious questions touching on their conduct.
Right.
So what CORD is doing is within the Constitution. Of course, again, it is upon the police to also make sure that there is safety and there is no destruction of anyone's property.
All right,
so I don't think they are there to fight CORD as such, but to make sure that it does not escalate to a level where people will lose lives and people will lose property.
All right, Jared, just hold on to that thought. We will now join our political reporter, Chris Tairu, who I understand is at the Capitol Hill, where the CORD leaders and some of the members are probably preparing to now head over to the anniversary towers. But let us now join Chris Tairu for an update of what is really going on at the CORD offices at the Capitol Hill in Upper Hill. Chris Tairu, if you can hear me, kindly give us the latest from your side.
A very good afternoon to you, and I can confirm that CORD principals are currently in a meeting at Capitol Hill, a center which happens to be the CORD Secretariat offices at Upper Hill. And this meeting comes after another meeting held by members of parliament affiliated to CORD, and that meeting was at Serena. And after that meeting, they came straight to Capitol Hill, where they are currently meeting and briefing the CORD principals on the planned seat or the and occupy anniversary towers. And from here, we'll be following them. We are yet to get information whether they'll be heading direct to anniversary towers from Capitol Hill, but we'll, of course, trail them and follow them up to the next stop that they will be. But in the morning, we had the county commander of police, that is Japheth Koome, indicating that the principals will be allowed to visit the IEBC offices. They have the right to visit them. But what he was against is the crowds and any demonstrations or any planned Occupy anniversary towers. And that is what he was against, indicating that police will not allow any people to come and stand around the IEBC offices, anniversary towers, just to push out their commissioners, indicating that there is a due of flow which should be followed. But what I've left, because I was just at anniversary towers some 30 minutes ago, is that crowds have already started gathering there. But so far so good. There is no pieces there, and police are still keeping vigil. They are not leaving anything to chance. But the demonstrators are just chanting slogans, code slogans, and they're doing that without any interference from the police unless things change. But for now, it's peaceful. And we'll be waiting to see what will be the next course of action. Yes.
Now, Chris Tairu, currently you're at the Capitol Hill, but earlier on you were at the anniversary towers. What was the situation there?
At Anniversary Towers, was there around 10, 11, and I talked even to the commander, Nairobi County commander, and crowds had already started gathering. Remember that the planned Occupy Anniversary Towers had already been planned that by at around 10 a.m., then people should have already gathered and already taken over the offices of the IEBC. But unfortunately, heavens opened up, and up to now it's still raining. But undeterred, there is a section of CORD supporters who are still undeterred, and they're still chanting slogans even despite the rains falling in Nairobi. That shows that they are determined to stay there until their leaders come there and address them. And that's what we'll be expecting after CORD people together with legislators affiliated to CORD. When they leave Capitol Hill, we'll be following them just to trace whether they'll be heading to Anniversary Towers direct or whether they'll be having another meeting maybe. But we'll definitely keep Kenyans in the know of what will be transpiring.
All right, thank you very much, Chris, for giving us that update. That is our political reporter, Chris Tairu, who's currently following that IEBC standoff story for us earlier on in the morning. He was at the anniversary towers, just keeping stock of how the situation is. Currently, he is at the Capitol Hill, where the CORD principals are held up in a meeting, of course, to see whether they will still be heading to the anniversary towers, as earlier speculated. But in studio with me is Jared Okello, a political analyst, just trying to understand the situation this country is in as far as the IEBC is concerned. We have about 15 months to the general elections, and the body that is meant to be the referee in these elections is facing serious credible issues. So many are in doubt. A great percentage are in doubt of whether they will do a good job come 2017. Where does this place our country?
Well, three major ills are bedeviling IEBC. Firstly, we mentioned about corruption, and there is a serious allegation towards that. And of course, we talked about the chicken gate scandal, which is in the minds of every Kenyan. Number two, you talk about impartiality. From what has been seen before, pronouncements from Jubilee adherents, and the lack of partisanship by IEBC. You remember, just a while back when CORD presented 1.4 million signatures to be verified to pave way for a referendum, IEBC, of course, took 6 months to release the findings. Later on, 2 days before they did that, Jubilee members of parliament came out and predicted what was in the name of a finding by IEBC. Now, 2 days later, IEBC comes up and reads from the same script. So either they eavesdropped on the findings of the IEBC, or they are working at the behest of the executive, and therefore not practicing impartiality is something that was out for everybody to judge. Of course, again, you look at the ineptitude that has been exhibited by this body. During the presidential petition at the Supreme Court, lots of gaps were identified by the CORD coalition. to form part of the memoranda in the affidavits that were presented before court. But of course, the Supreme Court, being what it is today and then, said that, the mistakes that were perpetuated were not significant enough to torpedo that victory at the moment. So, but these were fundamental questions, up to and including failure by the BVR. Lastly, you remember just slightly over a month, there were 2 by-elections in Malindi and Kericho.
Yeah.
In Kericho, pertinent questions did arise that there was a matrix that was being used to change the results. IEBC has not come out to defend such a serious allegation against them. Of course, Jubilee again was complaining that the Malindi by-election was not in tandem with the wishes of the people. IEBC has not come out to really put the record straight on that front. Yeah. So serious questions are being asked. And these are just by-elections in one county and one constituency. And this is a commission that we are going to trust with the entire 47 counties across the nation. So these are very serious questions that need to be answered.
All right, let us now talk to our reporter, Japheth Koome, who is currently at the anniversary towers to give us a situation since there is a development from that side. Japheth Koome, very many thanks for joining us. What is the latest from the anniversary towers?
Yes, well, thank you very much. We're here at Anniversary Towers, where another group of our court supporters just arrived. Earlier on, I managed to talk to Dagoretti North Member of Parliament, Simba Arati, who is telling me that the court leaders are Kalonzo Musyoka, Moses Wetangula, and of course Raila Odinga are expected to appear here at Anniversary Towers to storm the IEBC building. Remember, the group, the note which is here is, the group here is chanting anti-IEBC slogans, saying that the IEBC commissioners must go home. Also, Arati also tells me that there is a group of court supporters coming from his constituency, Dagoretti. There is another group coming from Kibera, of course. Yes, and we are really waiting to see whether the court principals will turn up here after that stern warning from Nairobi Police Commandant Japheth Koome, giving a stern warning that no form of violence or any storming will be tolerated here at the Anniversary Towers, which was the IEBC offices. Akisa.
Now, Jeff, how is the security? You're saying that, of course, another group has just landed at the Anniversary Towers. How is the relationship between them and the security officers on the ground?
Well, so far what is going on is just chanting entire IEBC songs. There hasn't really been any incident or any confrontation between the supporters of CORD and the police officers. And I managed to talk to some of the security officers here saying that they will not engage them if they will be peaceful and not disrupting the business around here along Monrovia Street and University Way.
All right, thank you very much, Jeff. We will be joining you later on to get updates from your side. Thank you very much, Jared, for coming in as well and help us understand where we stand as a country and where we are as far as our electoral body is concerned.